The night sky is filled with stars. The beauty is mesmerizing. In a wooden house we see a hand move on the floor. As the owner groggily gets up from the ground while wobbling, the youth with dark hair stands up in front of a mirror. With a closer look at himself in the mirror, he is shocked as he doesn't recognize who the face being reflected belongs to. He touches his face as he comments that his face has some weird stuff on it. During his inspection of his face, a status window pops up before him that startles the youth. On a closer look, he sees his status with his name not being depicted. His race is a race known as a goblin. His level is at level 1 and his skills are not available. His findings shocks the youth as he shouts while asking if he has reincarnated as a stinking goblin. Fantasy Frontier is a cutting-edge AAA game. It is a very popular game worldwide with breathtaking graphics and a carefully woven plot. It reached the highest rating for any RPG. He had played this game all day, every day. Our protagonist covers his mouth with his hand as he thinks that just yesterday he'd been wandering around in the game, grinding and killing goblins when he suddenly fell asleep. Surprised as his thoughts has come this far to suddenly realize that was when he had reincarnated. But the shocking thing is that he has reincarnated as a goblin of all things. Holding up a mirror and looking at himself, he says that although the interface had said he's a goblin, but he looks no different from a normal human. During his inspection, a window suddenly pops up that says that the syncing of memory between the reincarnator and the character has started. True to the notification, loads and loads of information and scenes began to pour into his brain, causing a great deal of headache for him. These were all the memories of the body he is inhabiting. Our protagonist holds his head as he thinks to himself that the body he's inhabiting seems to have had his life on hard mode. Just then the door to the room he's in opens and a little girl pushes half of her body inside while calling him bro, and tells him that it's morning. She tells him that if he doesn't hurry, that he'll be late. Still reeling from the pain, our boy tells her that he'll get ready now. The scene shifts and we see the little girl jumping happily on the streets while carrying a food basket. She tells our protagonist that for today, she made him a food lunchbox. Our boy tells her that it's cool and that he's looking forward to it, while thinking to himself that he remembers the road and the scenery around. As he stops to look around, he continues that this is definitely the world inside Frontier Fantasy. And it's most likely that this world is exactly the same as in the game. He continues walking with a hood covering his head and obscuring his face as he continues thinking that according to the memories of this body, he's living with his little sister, Lily, after their parents died. And right now, they're heading to the mansion of their evil employer, who treats them like slaves. While walking at the front, Lily suddenly hits her leg on a stone and stumbles to fall with her eyes closed. Luckily, our boy was able to get to her on time and catches her, preventing her from falling, as he asks her if she's okay. Lily beams with a smile and tells him yes, and thanks him while calling him Big Bro. Our boy replies with a smile on his face, telling her that her big brother will protect her at the same time calling her Lily. Lily giggles and tells him that after all, she's blind, and with a smile on her face, tells him thank you. Our boy, with a dejected look on his face, thinks to himself that although he said he'd protect her, he had reincarnated as the weakest demon race, and that is a goblin. He looks up while clenching his fists as he thinks to himself that he wants to live well in this world, but wonders what he should do from here on. They finally arrive at the evil merchant's mansion in the demon continent. We see Lily walking towards a door leading inside of the mansion while our boy tells her that he'll see her later and Lily waves while telling him okay. As he walks away from there, he recounts their situation. Because his sister is blind, he works as a laborer, and he's in charge of cleaning up the mansion. At the Lord's chamber, a butler respectfully stands behind, while the evil merchant points and tells our protagonist that he'll have him move the dark ores today. Our boy replies him, saying yes sir, and turns to walk away after receiving the orders. The scene shifts outside the castle. Our protagonist is seen hoarding a cart full of ores. Just behind him we see a feet belonging to someone walking up to him. The person moves forward, kicking the wheels of the cart full of ores. Our boy along with the cart all fall to the ground, spilling out the ores contained within. At the sight, we see three youths with their hands in their pockets, with the blonde-haired youth having just kicked the cart full of or retracting his leg. The youth with the blonde hair tells our protagonist to move faster, and we see one of the youth having a horn protruding from his forehead. The blonde-haired youth tells our boy that with him having no dark element aptitude, that he can't even do anything right while calling him Goblin Kuin. Our hero ignores them and gets up to lift the cart. The three youths began a round of mockery with the blue-haired youth with horns protruding from his head saying that the blonde-haired youth is right while calling him Butch. He says that he'd heard that Butch passed the entrance exam to the magician school. The other youth in the group quickly adds that Butch is amazing, and that one couldn't get into the magician school without being an elite. Butch toots his own horn by commenting that he had to get a bit serious in order to get in. He turns towards Our and asks him if he's still there while calling him Goblin Kuin. The trio then walk away after getting tired of their verbal assault, with Butch telling our protagonist to stay sulking there or to go eat some grass or something. Our boy is left frustrated while looking at the system interface as he thinks to himself that goblins really are at the bottom after all. Some time passes and our hero, having completed his task, sits while holding his food box to eat. He comments that according to the map inside of the mansion, that it is currently year 125 of the Demon Continent calendar. He says that it is the same time as the intro to the game, so he thinks his knowledge before his transmigration will come in handy. He then asks himself what can a weak goblin do, before seeing something appear in the sky. In his eyes are the silhouette of people coming out from the object above. It turns out to be a magical circle, used for long-distance transport. Out of the magic circle, people kept descending. They were soldiers wearing special heavy armor with swords drawn as if ready for battle. Our boy is shocked senseless and gets up to his feet, wondering where they were from, before remembering from his past life that they were wearing special equipments from FF, called the Holy Knight's armor. The people in the mansion, upon seeing the men falling from above, immediately start screaming that the enemies are attacking, and we see Lily looking behind her unable to see where the enemies were coming from. With the arrival of the intruders, chaos descends upon the village, with the townsfolk running while screaming that Hero's army is attacking the village. Our boy, standing there, thinks to himself that the village is situated at the far reach of the Demon Continent, and wonders that the humans' armies have reached even there and that they're much earlier than in the game. Destruction rages on, with the death toll piling up. Warriors wearing the Holy Knight's armor are everywhere slaughtering the people in the village. A white-haired man who is the leader of the knights is seen laughing heavily while saying that the situation is only happening because the people had disobeyed their human lords. He tells them that they better run faster. Our protagonist quickly opens the door of the mansion while calling out for Lily. He sees her huddled in a corner and quickly runs up to her. He hugs her and tells her that they need to go, while Lily calls him Big Bro with tears in her eyes. Out of nowhere, the three pairs of youths from earlier run past, shoving the sibling duo to the ground with Butch telling them to get out of the way. The youth with a horn on his head quickly tells Butch that they should get away through a hidden door and quickly run past our protagonist and Lily. Our boy holds Lily as he asks her if she is okay, and Lily appears weak and exhausted. The mansion door is kicked open by the white-haired man with a group of knights behind him as he grins heavily while saying there they are. As he looks down on the sibling pair on the ground, he tells them that they are two animals who are unable to escape and that they have failed. Our hero quickly gets up to stand before Lily while grunting. His mind spins rapidly as he thinks that by using the current he wouldn't be able to fight, so he pushes Lily, telling her to run quickly while she can, while he braces himself to fight. Receiving an attack from the sword of the white-haired man, our boy is sent flying as the man grins evilly. While on flight, our boy spouts out a mouthful of blood and the white-haired knight laughs on seeing this. Our protagonist thinks in his heart that although he had reincarnated here that he was still going to die like this as he falls into the white light of death, before appearing into a space full of darkness. He feels his disappearing consciousness begin to return before asking himself if he was dead. Just then a bright light approaches him from the darkness, the light having a vague shape of a person within. From the light comes out a voice of a woman saying that although she had reincarnated him, that it still turned out this way. She says she can't help but be shocked, but she won't just overlook this as it would be a big mess if a race goes extinct. Just then a vague system interface appears before the silhouette in the white light. She began to speak, but to nobody in particular, saying that she will give him her power. Quickly a notification bing is heard, followed by the system interface with a message that reads that our hero has obtained all forms of darkness magic. His interface began to change with numbers and characters quickly shuffling past. Our boy opens his eyes and comes to, suspended and floating in the space. He comments that his good-for-nothing status has been raised to the max. The voice from the light spoke again, telling him that this will be all and that he will not be able to use all the powers for now, but he shall grasp how to use them gradually over time. She tells him she's doing this all because he had died right away. Calling out to her, our boy tells her to wait as he sees the light gradually fading. The person in the light ignores his call but tells him not to loiter around as he will be waking up soon, and he must defeat his enemies. After her last sentence had just ended, a force acts on our goblin's body, pulling him out of the starry black space that he's in, just in time to see the leader of the knights pointing towards the frightened Lily, telling her that she's next to die. From behind the leader of the knights comes a voice, telling him to wait, and we see our goblin boy having risen from the ground and starts walking steadily forwards. The knights, on seeing him still alive, quickly rush in to attack as they tell him that it's time for him to die. A ping sound sends in a notification directly through the system interface that only our goblin could see, telling him to defeat his enemies. With one of his eyes shining a purple light, he casts a level 32 dark magic, the Dark Boost. Immediately empowering himself and with a great force, he propels himself at an incredible speed forward, slaying the knights and reaping their lives like chickens. In but a mere moment, all the knights are lying on the ground, defeated with only the leader left standing behind him, with a blank face full of incredulous surprise. The leader of the knights watches our goblin pick up one of the holy swords from the fallen knights and immediately moves behind him with great speed, leaving the leader dazed. He moves behind the back of the leader and asks him what he was about to do to his sister. Shocked by what he's witnessing, the leader of the knights asks him who the fuck he was, and our goblin replies that he is just a goblin as he cleaves the man into two halves. Some time passes and we see the town filled with smoke, with some buildings having been destroyed. The people gather around, and the evil merchant tells the people that according to the town's reports, that the hero's army have been defeated. The townsfolk were shocked and unbelieving of the news, with some people asking who is strong enough to defeat the hero's army. At a distant wall not far away, our goblin is sitting with his sister Lily as he calls up the system interface. On the interface there is a notification that say the reincarnator has received the quest, Level 1 Awakening, and another notification shows that his range for acquired dark magic has extended. Immediately after reading through the notification, a sudden pain hits him, causing him a great headache. Lily besides him worriedly calls out to him, "Big bro," asking if he was okay. Bearing the pain, he turns to her, telling her that he's fine as he thinks to himself that with that notification he can now unlock more powers. Back at the gathering, we see Butch step out telling his father, the rich merchant, and the people around that he's glad they're all safe. He says that he'd wanted to withhold the information from them but has now decided to let them know that it was he who defeated the hero's army. His father, on hearing him, quickly walks to him, asking if it was really true, and Butch answers saying yes, that he had used the dark magic that he has always trained with. We see that over at the side, our boy looks at him menacingly. The people shout with joy on hearing this, with some calling Butch their hero and savior. Butch toots his horn, telling them not to flatter him as he had done what had to be done. He tells them if they wish to know how he defeated the hero's army, then they should come to the mansion later, but he won't be telling them for free. This being a typical mindset of a merchant family, expecting to extort others out of every situation. Back at our goblin, he thinks to himself that Butch is seeking after the fame and money that comes with defeating the hero's army, and Butch, on turning, sees our boy and his sister quietly sitting by the wall. He calls out to him saying, "Oi goblin, so you're still alive, huh? You're a tough one, you useless piece of shit." Our boy, being unable to bear the taunt any longer, gets up and asks him, "You being the savior is a lie, isn't it?" Butch is taken aback with some fear and from the other side asks him, "What are you saying?" Our boy replies, "If so, if I beat you, will you admit it was a lie?" The youth with a horn tried to intervene at the sides, but Butch raises his hand to quiet him. Butch faces our hero while laughing and tells him that it's impossible for him to win against him. He immediately conjures a dark fireball spell and launches it towards our unsuspecting boy. The spell flies towards his face as he quickly discerns the attack with his eyes glowing purple. Butch cackles from the side as he says that our goblin is burning up already. He tells our boy to stop trying to act brave while calling him a talentless shit stain. He continues laughing as he tells the people around that this is the magic that he used in defeating the hero's army. His laughter is quickly cut off as a malevolent energy permeates the air, filling him with dread. Before him, an image of a terrifying dragonic monster takes shape using the dark purple energy around. The beast raises up its claws towards Butch, questioning him if he had truly defeated the hero's army. Butch immediately gets frozen due to fear, as the beast has just gripped him with its terrifying claws, while its maw filled with deadly fangs is just mere inches away from his face. Unable to bear the pressure, Butch stammers to say that he did defeat the hero's army, but the dragon yells for him to stop lying and speak the truth. With tears running from his eyes, Butch immediately confesses that he had lied, and that he hid in a warehouse when they had been attacked, and that he didn't save the town. With the confirmation from him, the dragon disappears, leaving our goblin boy in its place with Butch clutching his head on the ground, shivering from fear as he lifts his head to look around and finds the monster gone. Our goblin had just used a level 35 evil eye spell that makes whoever looks into his eyes to fall into a hallucination. Turning to leave as Butch falls to the ground on his butt, he walks up to Lily telling her to leave with him. The townsfolk are shocked and questions him if he was the one who had defeated the hero's army. He tells them no, and besides, he himself wonders who the person that had defeated the hero's party really is as he walks off with Lily. The scene cuts and we see our sibling duo sitting on the remains of their destroyed house. Lily turns to her brother and tells him that so much has happened lately and she is a little bit tired. Our boy looks at her and tells her to come closer. Putting his hand on her face, he activates the spell, Dark Cure level 38. Immediately, healing light begins to cover Lily. Turns out that Lily has been blind from birth, so our boy wishes to use high-level healing magic on her to see if she'll recover. Gradually, the darkness in her eyes began to fade until her eyes finally became open and Lily regained her sights. She is surprised as she is able to see her brother sitting in front of her. He explains to her, telling her that some stuffs had happened and now he can use dark magic. Lily is unconvinced by his words that some stuff had happened and now he can use magic. He tells her that probably he had awakened his genius potential, which Lily finds even harder to believe. Ruffling her hair, he tells her that he's glad that she has been cured now. Lily smiles and starts crying joyfully, telling him that he's always so cool while our goblin boy pulls her in for a hug. Their touching moment is interrupted as a system notification chimes in, telling him that he has completed the awakening quest. With the completion of the quest, his range of acquired dark magic was expanded again, and he also received a seed package, which contains a goblin fairy. The fairy was deployed to him, leaving our boy shocked. From the system interface, a little head pokes out, followed by her body. She introduced herself as a goblin fairy to our sibling duo. Our sibling duo could only look on incredulously as the goblin fairy tells them that she has been tasked to escort them to the hidden goblin village. She tells them to get ready to go at the same time, calling our boy the strongest unparalleled mutation. The scene cuts and we see the trio walking through the demon continent backwood. With the fairy leading them, they finally arrive at a village called the Hidden Goblin Village of the Demon Continent. Our goblin, looking at the place, comments that he had no idea there would be a settlement there, and thinks to himself that even with all his gaming knowledge, he had no clue too. The fairy perching on Lily's head tells them that the village had always been covered with concealment magic, and it wouldn't been very hidden if someone was to find it easily. The fairy tells them to follow her as she was taking them to the village chief. During their walk through the village, the trio encountered goblins who stared at them and whispered amongst themselves. In no time, some goblin children quickly gather around Lily, telling her that she's so pretty and begs her to come play with them. Lily, being a little girl herself, gets overwhelmed by the children relentless insisting and becomes unable to make a decision. The fairy tells her it's okay to go on ahead, that she'll take our goblin boy to go see the village chief. Confirming that all is safe, our goblin turns to Lily and tells her it's alright to go play with the children while he goes to meet the village chief, to which Lily agrees, saying okay. The scene shifts and we see our boy sitting and discussing with a white-bearded old man, presumably the village chief. The village chief tells him that for there to have been other descendants who survived besides them, then it is just as the goblin goddess prophecy had foretold that he would arrive, led by a fairy, a young goblin who would one day to come to their village and they will entrust their hidden treasure to him. On hearing the old man, our boy thinks to himself if the voice he had heard during his awakening moment had been from the goblin goddess. The village chief tells him to wait for him as he weakly gets up and starts walking away. The fairy flies up to him and tells our boy that the goblins are very kind and gentle, but for them, living in a place like this with little resources and food was a problem. The other tribes had shunned and ostracized them, and the hero's forces think nothing of them goblins, besides being a stain on their swords. She tells him that it wasn't just natural selection but rather that the goblins were being oppressed, and the village demise is just around the corner. Our boy looks down and clenches his fists, as he comments to himself that in the game world, the goblins had been just some fry monsters and now he has ironically become a goblin himself. The village chief walks up to him and hands him a scroll. Our hero opens it up and both he and the goblin fairy are shocked by what they see. The elder tells them that the tribe is fragile and weak as a result of being shunned by all of the other tribes. And now they're on the brink of extinction, so now they're entrusting on him as their chosen one. Feeling the responsibilities on him, our boy gets up, calling the elder. He turns to look out the window and see the children in the village watching him. They quickly run up to him as he noticed them and crowded around him. Quickly the children starts begging him to help them, and with the cue all the adult goblins from the village crowd around the village chief's house and tell our boy that they too believe in the prophecy of the goddess, as they fall to their knees, prostrating before our boy and plead with him to save them and their people. We move away from there and see our trio are back in the woods, having left the village. Our boy sitting quietly starts meditating to himself. As far as he knows, the goblins are the weakest creatures on their own at the start of the game. But they're also troublesome in large groups with some strong higher-ranking species among them, and also with unusually high reproductive capabilities. With all of that, he wonders how the goblins are facing imminent extinction and also with the unusually fast progression of the hero's forces. He wonders if there is something happening that he's unaware of, as the situation has become hard to make sense of. His thoughts are interrupted as the fairy calls out to him, asking him why they had come out to the woods. Our boy gets up and tells her that there are some things that he wishes to confirm. He tells her that he wants to see how well he's able to make use of the abilities that are available to him now. On opening the system interface, he began looking through the skills and abilities that he has as he contemplates that some of the dark magic skills that he's acquired but unable to use now are grayed out, but he should be able to unlock more as he completes more quests. And the skills are not also displayed in orders, so there should be a skill tree programmed into them. He looks at his stats, which have become overwhelming, which is a good thing. He walks and stands before a rock and immediately disappears, moving towards the rock as he wishes to measure his physical strength. He immediately throws a punch towards the rock besides him, which instantly develops cracks and burst apart, sending debris and dust flying all around. Lily and the fairy at the side are mesmerized by his display of strength. Our boy turns quickly and conjures up a level 10 flare bomb skill, throwing it to the rocks, which immediately explodes on contact with it. Lily and the fairy are pushed back by the wind force generated by the blast. Having been satisfied by his strength, our boy takes a look at the skills available to him. He thinks that now, he has finally gotten a hang of things, and besides the variety of magic he can use is somewhat wide, and those should do the trick. He says that all that's left for him to do is to make some final touches as he holds up the scroll that was given to him by the village chief. The scene shifts, and our trio are seen walking towards a place that looks to be a garden with a stone monuments in the middle surrounded by flowers. The place happens to be the secret cemetery of the goblins, and it is the place where the ancestral heroes of the goblin tribes are laid to rest. As his eyes light green, our boy starts to cast a spell, a level 99 goblin summoning skill, and with that hordes of goblins were summoned immediately to the scene. Among the goblins included hobgoblins, goblin girls, a goblin dragon, and a rarely seen goblin general were immediately summoned to the scene. The little fairy becomes ecstatic by the scene as she comments that the situation has turned into something amazing. Our boy starts walking and addresses the people around saying, "Throughout thousands of years of history, even the weakest and lowest of goblins have rarely given birth to a goblin with a mutation that has powers and special abilities of the strongest class. These heroic spirits who only exists in the past, I am able to summon all of their memories here." As he ends his grand speech, he stands before the goblin general who appears to be a giant, starkly different from the normal goblins we know. The goblin general acknowledges him as he immediately calls our boy Lord Messiah, and immediately goes down on a knee demanding his orders. Our boy continues speaking, saying that with his powers, he's going to put an end to the war between the hero's forces and the demon lord's army. He says he's going to make both the hero and the demon lord bow their head and finally bring peace to the world, and he will become the goblin messiah. Back in the starry dark space, our goblin is seen floating in the air. On a closer look up, his eyes are closed, seemingly asleep. Out of the darkness, a feminine voice calls out to him, telling him to listen. But he's relishing the sleep and doesn't want to wake up. With a shout from the voice, calling him an imbecile, our boy gets jolted awake instantly. His face a mixture of surprise and shock as standing before him is a girl wearing a white coat, with 2 horns on her head and her body radiating a wild holy hue of light. Mesmerized as he is by the beauty, our boy stutters the word, "Who are you?" The girl answers him, telling him that she is the goddess of the goblins. Our boy is shocked by the revelation as he thinks to himself that surely she does look similar to the murals he'd seen in the elder's house. He guesses that even low-ranking monster tribes have their own deity. Taking a good look at her, he thinks to himself that she doesn't seem godly at all. In fact, she's more like a sexy older lady. Seems like our boy's getting some weird ideas already. The goddess interrupts his thoughts as she asks him if he had been thinking about something very inappropriate just now. Our boy quickly denies, saying no. The goddess tells him that she'll let it slide this once, and tells him that when they had last met, there was no time for her to explain things to him properly. So she'll do it now. She'll tell him the reason why she granted him these powers. Our boy braces himself to listen to as the goddess continues on telling him that tens of millions of goblins have met their cruel deaths throughout countless playthroughs, treated as nothing but low-level life forms. They are said to be the weakest because of their powerlessness, but that reason is also why they are also the strongest. Our boy gets confused as he comments asking that they're the strongest because they're also the weakest. He then wonders what the goddess is supposed to mean by that. The goddess answers his confusion by telling him that it's because of their inheritance reincarnation. She tells him that he has now inherited all the knowledge and darkness powers of their fallen people. And when tens of millions of the weakest are gathered together, they become one being of unparalleled power. And now, his sister isn't the only one he's capable of saving. As she began to disappear in an intense glow of holy light, she tells him that she's leaving the future of their dying tribe in his hand. Immediately our boy jolts awake, as all that had happened had been in his dream. He gets up from the bed as he swears to himself that not just the future of their tribe, but he's going to create a world free of oppression. Some time passes and our boy is writing an application letter to apply for the entrance exam to the Academy of Dark Magic. The fairy asks him if he's sure that it was going to work, to which our boy replies yes, that they should leave it to him. Looking out the window, he tells the fairy that he wants to create a world where his sister and everyone from the hidden village can live in peace. And in order to do that, his first target is one of the 7 greats of the Demon Lord's army, the one who rules over their region called the Cruel King, Daul. He tells her that the Academy of Dark Magic thrives as a training ground for army recruits in his domain. And Daul is also the Academy's founder. If he were to enter the school and become a cadet, then he could have an official audience with the founder. And that would be the perfect opportunity to strike him down. Ready to journey out, he tells Lily to wait for him there as she'll stay sheltered in the hidden goblin village. He turns to the fairy and tells her that he's going to go take the entrance exam from here on and asks her what she intends to do. The little fairy tells him that although her work there is done already, his adventure seems to be interesting, so she'll obviously tag along. The scene shifts and our boy walks out of an inn in the castle town of the cruel King Daeul of the Demon Continent. He tells the fairy that the Academy of Dark Magic is up ahead and starts leading her forward. Just after walking some steps forward, our boy stops as he hears someone scolding a person, telling them that they can't do something so simple, with the scolded person weakly muttering that they're sorry. The camera moves to an alleyway and we see a man sitting luxuriously on some boxes, with a slave girl kneeling by his feet trembling as she tries to wipe his shoes. The man kicks the little girl, telling her that it's enough as he's running late for a deal. The crowd around comments that he started again and he always does this whenever he's in a bad mood, with none of them coming up to help the poor girl. The fairy tells our boy that although the slave girl is a goblin, but to pick on the lower class tribes like this is really disgusting. Our boy thinks to himself as he has finally recalled who the man is. He's known as Bradley, the slave merchant. And inside of the setting of Fantasy Frontier, he was a lower-ranking demon aristocrat who amassed a lot of wealth from trading slaves, crime, intimidation, and breaking contracts. For him, anything goes. Our boy smirks to himself as his obsession with character arts book will come in handy here, as this is the perfect opportunity to test out the abilities of his new heroic spirit companions. He turns to the fairy and tells her that they're going to help the goblin slave girl, to which the fairy replies okay. Moving quickly to a secluded alley, our goblin boy puts his hands on the ground and casts the heroic goblin summon spell. Quickly, a purple light shines from his hand as he recites the chants for the spell. Quickly, a summoning circle appears on the ground and with a command from him saying, "Come forth, goblin girl." A purple vortex appears going up to the sky, and out of the circle, a pair of legs come out first before the body of a goblin girl. As the residual energy began to fade, the summoned goblin girl comments that it's nice to be alive again after such a long time as she stretches. She turns to our boy and winks at him, asking him what did he summon her for? She tells him that she'll do whatever he says with a flirting tone. The fairy is dumbfounded by the scene as she comments that the female goblin ancestor is quite carefree. Our boy points behind him and tells her that although this is a sudden request, but there's something that he'd like her help with. Back at the scene, the merchant Bradley yanks the chain tied to the goblin slave girl's neck, telling her to get up. He says that although the slave girl had been cheap, he hadn't expected her to be completely useless. With a forceful pull, the weak girl falls to the ground, left without any strength. Amongst the crowd, our boy pushes his way out and calls out to Bradley. Surprised by the call, Bradley turns to him and asks what he wants. Our boy tells him to stop hurting the girl, to which Bradley laughs and tells him that she's his slave and that he'll do whatever he likes to her. Our boy then tells him that he'll buy the slave girl from him for 100 times the original price. On hearing this, Bradley gets shocked and is left dumbfounded by the statement from our protagonist.